We're heading to the north, to the Glacial Ridge region of Minnesota and home of Clear Springs Cattle Company and the Bred For Balance Sale. I'm going to tell you all about it. Feeder calf sales have not slowed down whatsoever, even though the weather has slowed a lot of us down. Crew, let's ranch it up. Good day, everyone, and thanks for riding with us on this all-new episode of the Ranch It Up radio show. I'm Jeff Tigger Earhart. A big thank you goes out to our partners. Check out ranchchannel.com on your phone today. Y'all are going to love this one. Ranchchannel.com. Clear Springs Cattle Company and the Bred For Balance Sale. We're going to hear from Travis a little later on in the show. Wasam Red Angus. Stockman's Livestock Exchange. The American Gelbvieh Association. Imogene Ingredients and Pharmatan. Westway Feed Products. Medora Boot and Western Wear. Dakota Cowboy, Allied Genetic Resources and Allied Feeding Partners, LivestockMarket.com, EquineMarket.com, AuctionTime.com, RFD TV, Wrangler, and this fine radio station. Before we get to the goodies, the nuggets of information today, sale reports and updates and news and everything, our thoughts and prayers go out to so many individuals across the country that are affected by the winter weather. Just earlier on Tuesday, Kansas was declared a state of disaster. So many producers fighting the snow, the blizzards, the colder temperatures. And you know what? Each and every one of us listening, I guarantee you know someone that is affected by the weather that's in agriculture as we speak. So take a little time to reach out. If it's even just a text message, do that. A phone call is much better, but just reach out and just say, hey, how are y'all getting along? How's it going? I mean, are you struggling? What's happening? 9 out of 10 times, take it from Beck and I, we know this, that sometimes when we are going through all of this stuff, it helps just to be able to vent to somebody when they reach out to us. So take a few minutes, not a few seconds, but a few minutes, reach out to those producers because there are literally millions upon millions that are fighting Mother Nature and Father Time. It seems they're not getting along again. Today's Weigh 'em Up Sale Barn Report is brought to us by Stockman's Livestock Exchange in Dickinson, North Dakota. You can watch their sale live online each and every week by going to cattleusa.com. In fact, there are hundreds of sale barns across the country. We use this all the time to try to gauge what cattle are selling for in other parts of the country. Head to cattleusa.com and check out Stockman's Livestock Exchange. If your social media feeds are like ours, you're getting pictures of what cattle are selling for right now, feeder cattle sales. Even though the weather has not been cooperating whatsoever, there has been no slowdown in these feeder cattle prices. Ringing the bell. I'm going to tell you these are double bell ringers. I don't even know if that's a term. I need to come up with a new one. But we have been getting updates from across the country from different places. Let me just dive into this, y'all, okay? Sit down for this one because this is going to blow your mind. I'm going to start out with Faith Livestock Auction in Faith, South Dakota. Y'all ready for this? Here is a group. Here's a pot load of black steers. I don't have any information or background on the steers. I just know that they're black. They're steers. I know their weight is 574. You got that? Just a tick under 600 pounds. 574 weight steers. They're black. They brought, are you ready for this? $319.50. $319.50 is what this particular draft of steers brought. Ryan Cordell, he's got to be awful proud of those steers. How about the Weissauer Ranch? They brought in a few different drafts of blacks and black white-faced steers. Here's a bunch. Here's a potload. 657 weight steers at $276. They had some 584 weights at $305. The Henderson Ranch came in. They came in with some of their blacks in Red Angus and Charolais cross steers, a big bunch, 225 in this bunch, weighing 823 at $239 and a quarter. Another draft of steers, blacks, reds, and Charolais crosses, weighing 713 pounds at $250 and a quarter. But I'm not done there. I'm going to head to Torrington Livestock in Torrington, Wyoming. This is one I must have got sent this picture 100 times, and I'm sure y'all have seen this on social media. This was their sale last week. Here is 533 weight steers bringing 322. 533 weight steers bringing 322. That's over $1,700 a head, y'all. Joplin Regional Stockyards in Joplin, Missouri, by request. And you can request a particular sale barn we can report on for you. Just reach out to us, ranchitupshow@gmail.com. Just send me a quick text, 707-726-2420. It's 707-RANCH20. Email me, ranchitupshow@gmail.com. On the heavier cattle, 8 to 8.5 weight steers, we had a big draft, 2 pot loads, 176 head, 8 to 8.5 weight steers, Joplin, Missouri, $1.90 to $2.11. Some heavier cattle, 1,000 weight steers at $1.91. I've got over 200 head of 6 to 6.5 weight steers at $2.10 to $2.32. That is Joplin Regional Stockyards in Joplin, Missouri, earlier this week on Monday. And to make life a whole lot easier for y'all, we have links to these exact sale reports on our website. Just head to ranchitupshow.com. We've got all that information for you. Quick, easy, and convenient. Cow country news. You know, the cow stuff. And before we take a quick break from the news department, I've got a story that I want to share with y'all. The big 4 meat packing companies face yet another 4 lawsuits accusing them of conspiring to fix, raise, stabilize, and or maintain the price of beef sold to retailers since 2015. That is according to the documents filed in a U.S. District Court for the Eastern District of New York. That happened last week. The New York cases mirror allegations leveled in lawsuits filed over the last few months in North Carolina and Illinois, and a case filed in 2022 by several quick-service restaurant chains. The Illinois case and those that were filed earlier have been transferred to the Minnesota District Court to be consolidated with other similar antitrust cases in multi-district litigation. All of those lawsuits resemble previous litigation against beef packers that garnered settlements in the tens of millions of dollars at the same time that the Department of Justice and Congress scrutinized their practices. And of course, we're going to be following this one awfully darn close the way that we always do. That complete story and a link to more on our website, ranchitupshow.com. Coming up after the break, we head to the Glacial Ridge region of Minnesota. The Ranch It Up radio show will be back. I think it's getting harder to find the boots and jeans and shirts that a person likes, so Beck and I go to Medora Boot and Western Wear. The name brands, the colors, and the styles that we're looking for. It's Medora Boot and Western Wear. Just head to medoraboot.com. The quick, fast, easy, all-in-one location to look at bull sales. Head to ranchchannel.com. Check it out on your phone. ranchchannel.com. All the information on one page at your fingertips. Videos, catalogs, everything. ranchchannel.com. Premium Simmental and SimAngus Genetics from Clear Springs Cattle Company. Annual Bred For Balance Sale, February 9th in Starbuck, Minnesota. Selling 130 bulls, 60 females, an elite donor, and 5 fabulous heifers.
Travis Wolf here with Clear Springs Cattle Company. Bulls carry a 3-year breeding soundness warranty, and cost share trucking is available on all cattle. If you're in the market for profitable beef genetics that can move your herd in the right direction, check out bredforbalance.com and be sure to join us in Starbuck.
Want to add just a little bit of spice to your event, your customer appreciation supper, your banquet, your meeting?
Oh, yeah.
Well, bring in us, Beck and I, as your keynote speakers, hosts, MCs, a host couple. We'll make them laugh, even cry tears of joy. Call us today. At Allied Genetic Resources, it's all about commercial customer success.
We see that charge, we understand that charge, and we're going to use all the tools we can to get there.
To maximize heterosis, purchase your next herd sire from an Allied Genetic Resources partner. Just head to AlliedGeneticResources.com. Welcome back to the Ranch It Up radio show. It's the most information packed into a 30-minute program that you can find. It's your All Things Ranching newscast, and so glad to be with you. Questions, comments, concerns, criticisms, rants, it doesn't matter. You can give us a call or text us at 707-RANCH20. That's 707-726-2420. email ranchitupshow@gmail.com, prowling around social media at Ranch It Up Show. Now, we are constantly highlighting different programs and philosophies when it comes to the cattle business, ideologies, management styles, breeds, and ultimately offerings for sale, because that is what we are all providing as a product. Now, today we head to the Glacial Ridge region of Minnesota, home of Travis Wolf and Clear Springs Cattle Company, hosting their annual Bred For Balance Sale. They have had tremendous success in the Simmental and SimAngus business, but interestingly enough, the operation has only been in said business since 2011. That's 13 years. Hey, Travis, thanks so much for sharing your program with us. Let me visit just a bit before we get into your management styles and the numbers and genetics. And I want to dance with the topic of your operations age. And also, you have to admit that this is kind of unheard to be at your level and caliber, I'll say, of your operation after it's not even 15 years of age yet. And I also know that you're quick to thank Mr. Tom Hook for giving you that springboard jump into the seed stock business.
Yeah, we were really fortunate, and a lot of things fell into place. I go back to, we had our first bull sale. Tom was doing a private treaty deal, and Tom raised our bulls for us that year. But then we took them out to Mobridge and sold them in the sale barn, about 25 bulls. And we had some very prominent breeders show up to look at our lot one bull. And then he ended up selling to ABS for pretty good money. And that really got our CLRS prefix out there for people to recognize. And Tom I can't stress enough how much Tom was an influence and a great help at getting us started.
Well, I mean, you've had tremendous success, since. So I know that one of the backbones of your operation is data. I mean, data and collect more data and collect more data. Now, you got to like what you look at. That's important, but your foundation, your herd is based off of statistics. It's based off of numbers, and it's based off of longevity. I know that's kind of been the foundation of your outfit.
Yeah, and I believe in EPDs because in our operation, they work. They match the cattle, especially with genomics. Genomics come back and they say, well, this one doesn't have much yearling weight. And then you look at the bull and he doesn't, or vice versa. And a huge part of that is accurate data. You can collect all the data you want, but if it's not accurate, it's actually a detriment. So getting the cattle in the right contemporary groups, ones that were actually managed the same way, is very important. And then turning in 100% data reporting kind of blows my mind. And we're pretty proud of the fact that we're the only herd in ASA to score a 13 on Performance Advocate. So we collected 100% data reporting on 13 different traits for our herd. If you don't turn the data in on the bad ones, you're actually hurting yourself by making the good ones not look as good.
Was that a little hard when you started to see some benchmarks and you went, oh no, I thought that cow or even that cow family was this and this and this. And then when you get the data back, was that kind of a hard slap of reality that you went, okay, we maybe need to look at this thing just a tick differently?
Yeah, it definitely adds some challenges. We've flushed a cow. We've made 150 calves out of a cow, and then them daughters coming in the herd, and there's been some decent genetics out of that cow, but not probably the level we wanted. We ended up moving on with different lines and stuff, but that's why we collect the data, so we know. So you don't just keep going down a path that isn't profitable.
What do you say to those people when they challenge EPDs? They challenge genomics. They say, those aren't as accurate as really they are. What do you say to those people? Or maybe there's some that don't quite understand, but those people that push back against some of that data, because we know that it does happen.
Well, I think the first place to look is look at the actual accuracy. They list that on the Simmental website. There's an accuracy. And if it's a 0.15, no, that EPD is not very accurate. But with years and years of data reporting, them accuracies improve. And as them accuracies improve, your confidence in the EPDs will improve with it. I can almost guarantee it.
Who would you say that is really your customer base that you're going after. And the reason that I ask that is because my compliments that you, in just a matter of a few years, have become an elite herd in the Simmental and SimAngus business. So who are you really trying to target market out there?
Really anyone that wants good cattle. But, Minnesota is definitely our home base, and the majority of the cattle stay in Minnesota. We really want to become known as the premier breeder in Minnesota, and we focus real heavy there. We also have cattle, some of your target market depends on the kind of cattle you raise. And we have a lot of cattle that fit really well into the far western states. The more moderate framed, really maternal, real high fertility, easy fleshing kind of cattle, where they don't have a ton of resources. And we have them kind of cattle too. So we've done very well in that market. Part of the Bred for Balance, I've always thought this, part of the Bred for Balance is having a balance of selection as well. We don't just have maternal bulls, and we don't just have power bulls. We have a little of everything. On the female side, a lot of our females just go into commercial herds, have a little better cows to work with, and they're just going to take them and raise feeder cattle for the length of that cow's life, which how we've developed them females and the genetics that they have, they tend to last a long, long time.
Where you're at versus where I'm at is a night and day difference. So where you're at, you said primarily crop ground, and very good crop ground, by the way. The water quality is exceptional where you're at, too. I know that, but it tends to be just a tick more humid climate. A lot of times you get a little bit more rain. The grass is a little bit different. So those genetics, and I'm a true believer in this, and everybody knows that they start to change and adapt to the environment that they're in. So when you start talking to people in other parts of the country that aren't too far away, all of a sudden those environments change, just like how you had mentioned that your family originally came from Iowa. That is a different environment from where you're at in Starbuck, Minnesota. So how do these cattle adapt to some of those different areas when you start talking about taking them to the western part of the country where it's really dry, very, very tough environment? When you start going to the south, when you start going on the other side of the Mississippi where we really start to have humidity, when there is fescue that these cattle are grazing on?
Yeah, it's definitely a challenge. If any seed stock breeder is truly honest, they're going to say, our cattle, some places it's a challenge for them. I feel like if you really focus on the basics in your environment, like hair quality, if you don't go, and that comes back to Bred for Balance, if you don't go too far in any one direction, it definitely makes the cattle more adaptable to more environments. The guys in the South, they want that slick hair, but then you get up in North Dakota and they got to have some hair or they'll freeze to death.
Right.
So yeah, keeping that Bred for Balance aspect, in our philosophy is a huge benefit to the adaptability of the cattle. With the bulls, we've worked so hard to raise them right. The management is as important or maybe even more important than the genetics in these bulls, with how they're going to become a breeder and how long they're going to last, the longevity of them bulls. So like this year with the amazing fall weather we had, the bulls were out on a 40-acre pasture until December 18th before we ever moved them up into the lots. They're so athletic this year. And with the changes that we've made over the past 10 years in the development, we're confident enough that these bulls are going to last. So we offer a 3-year breeding soundness warranty. So for any other reason other than an act of God, if the bull gets struck by lightning, that's part of the cattle business.
Right.
If that bull comes back in and doesn't semen test or his feet go bad or anything like that, we've got you covered.
Travis Wolf, Clear Springs Cattle Company, the Bred for Balance Sale. It's the second Friday of February on the 9th at the ranch in Starbuck, Minnesota. You can view information by heading to bredforbalance.com. Of course, alliedgeneticresources.com. And all the links and information is available at your fingertips at ranchchannel.com. Can you bid online? Yes, sir. It's at DV Auction. Make sure you get registered to bid and buy prior to the sale. Travis, thanks again, buddy, and good luck on your annual Bred for Balance sale. Now, we've talked a lot about the numbers today, and we're not done yet. Let's recap those markets here on the Ranch It Up Radio Show when we come back. We'd like to introduce you to one of the diamonds in the rough in the Red Angus business, the Wassom Red Angus Annual Production Sale, Thursday, February 15th at the Wick Sale Facility in Richardson, North Dakota. Selling 60 bulls, 20 registered open heifers, and 110 commercial open heifers. They breed the best to sell the best so we can raise the best. Wassom, WASEM, RedAngus.com. Follow along on Facebook at Wassom Reds and bid and buy online at dvauction.com. Powerful, profitable, practical Red Angus cattle.
Hey, it's Mark Van Zee with LivestockMarket.com.
Every week we hear from one of our great partners with updates, info, schedules, reports, and everything in between when it comes to buying and selling livestock in hay online and private treaty. LivestockMarket.com.
Nutrition does not need to be difficult or overwhelming or complicated at all. Keep things simple with Westway Feed products. Cow-calf, dairy, feedlots, equine, and custom if you need. You can count on Westway. WestwayFeed.com. Why not give Gelbvieh and Balancer bulls a try this year? Raise replacement females with added fertility, increased longevity, and greater productivity. Get increased performance, improve feed efficiency, and increase the carcass merit. Maximize crossbreeding with Gelbvieh and Balancer. Cryptosporidium, coccidiosis, scours. Do I have your attention now? Don't let scours affect you this calving season by feeding Pharmatan from Imogene Ingredients. But you gotta get it into your cows now. I've been saying it a lot. Head to PharmatanUSA.com. Welcome back, everyone, to the Ranch It Up radio show. That time in the program, we check in with Kirk Donsbach, StoneX Financial Incorporated. Kirk, what's going on? And I appreciate you giving us kind of last week an outlook of 2024, but let's just kind of move forward and see what's going on.
To start the week off, we got some crazy high cash prices. I'm sure you saw it from the Torrington sales, and I think there was a couple other sales.
Yep.
Plus $3 on some of these 5-weight calves. So there's definitely some optimism out there.
You darn right. Yeah, I did actually get some messages from some friends of mine that took pictures of the scales on those 5-weight calves. Yeah, ringing the bell is what I said.
Super good prices. And from a guy in my position, it's quite interesting because we definitely have some divergence between what the future market wants to do and what those cash prices are doing. Definitely a little confusing from my perspective.
Well, let's take the confusion out of it. Let's try to educate everyone.
Well, we'll do some education. I don't know if we'll get rid of the confusion. As of Friday, January 5th, January feeders closed the week at $223.22.5. That's up $1.12.5 on the week, with the CME feeder index at 228.09. The cash prices moved $12.11 higher on a week-over-week basis, and that left our basis at positive $4.96.5 versus January feeders. Just to put that in context, it was negative $6.12 last week, so almost an $11 swing in the basis in the cash prices. February live cattle futures closed the week at 170.72.5. That's up 220 on the week, with cash trading 173 in the south and 175 in the north. That left our 5-area weighted average up $2.52 at 174.65, and the basis versus February futures a positive $4.07.5. The weekly slaughter came in at 556,000 head. That's 48,000 head more than last week, but that was a holiday shortened week, and 9,000 below the same week last year. Choice boxes closed the week at a disappointing 277.16. That's the low as they've been in quite a while, and that's down $12.55 on the week. To wrap this all up, March corn closed the week at $4.61 3/4. That's down 9 cents on the week.
Hey, it's Shay, and I'm the host of the Casual Cattle Conversations podcast. With spring calving right around the corner, it's important to start prepping now. Wes Chisholm and Dr. Chelsea Woodcock joined me to share some tips in this episode to help make calving smoother. Here's a snippet of what was shared.
Keeping those records and stuff like that is really important, and that way you know how many times you've treated a certain calf and how many or percentage of calves that you're having to treat in that situation too, if you're having an outbreak of something, because after you've reached a certain percentage level, and that's something you should work out with your veterinarian or whoever's helping with develop your herd health protocol. That way you can call those higher up for advice or when you're having an issue and know when you may need to implement a scour vaccine or what's going on here, something along those lines. And I think that having those records really helps, because if you're not recording and calculating or keeping records of how many times you've treated that same calf, do you have a chronic problem?
Get the full details by listening to Casual Cattle Conversations wherever you find your favorite podcasts. Happy ranching, folks.
I tip my hat to you, from one legend to another.
And before we say fare thee well, our final last words and a tip of the hat to all of you that are at the National Western Stock Show and Rodeo in Denver. I know I gave you a tip of the hat last week, and weather is turning. You know, that's what they say, what happens at Denver at the National Western Stock Show. Good luck, safe travels to and from. Look forward to hearing the results. And now that's going to wrap it up for today. A big thanks from all of our crew to yours. Thank you to Travis Wolf with Clear Springs Cattle Company and the Bred For Balance Sale. Shay Keister-Warner with Casual Cattle Conversations. Kirk Donsbach, StoneX Financial Incorporated, the boss lady, Rebecca Warner, a.k.a. Beck, who is not in today. A big thank you goes out to our partners, Ranch Channel. Check it out on your phone, ranchchannel.com. Y'all are going to love it. Clear Springs Cattle Company and the Bred For Balance Sale. Wassum Red Angus. Stockman's Livestock Exchange. The American Gelbvieh Association. Imogene Ingredients. Pharmatan. Westway Feed Products. Medora Boot and Western Wear and Dakota Cowboy. Allied Genetic Resources and Allied Feeding Partners. LivestockMarket.com. EquineMarket.com. AuctionTime.com. RFD TV, Wrangler, and this fine radio station. And crew, so glad y'all came with us one more time as we ranch it up. Be sure to follow and like us on Facebook and social medias of all sort, for that matter, at Ranch It Up Show. Our email, ranchitupshow@gmail.com. Call and text us 24/7 at 707-RANCH-20. That's 707-726-2420. Spread the good word and join us again next week, where it's always Tigger and Beck approved. Stay ranchy and ranch it up.